أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد على إمام المهديين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The will of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, on the night of his death. In the name of God, the most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. And the blessing of Allah be upon Muhammad and his household, the Imams and the Mahdis. If we go back to the events that happened before the death of the congealed Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and specifically at the last Thursday that is known as the Thursday of Disaster, we find the agreement between the entire nation that the Prophet, peace be upon him, wanted to write a will and said, "Bring me a pen and paper to write for you something that you shall never go astray after." And some of the companions and the people separated, so the Prophet, peace be upon him, got angry and told them to leave. Tens of hadiths reported the happening on the night of disaster in the books of the Sunnah and the community instead of the Shia books and the history books. And here is a narration from the book of Al-Bukhari. It was told from Ibrahim, the son of Moses, from Hashim, from Mu'mar, from Abdullah, the son of Abdul Razak, from Mu'mar, from Al-Zahri, from Ubaidullah, from Abdullah, from Ibn Abbas, God bless them, said, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, went, and there were men in the house, one of which was Umar ibn Khattab, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "I will write a book that you will not go astray after." So Umar said, "The Prophet, peace be upon him, has been taken over by pain, and you have the Quran, the book of Allah is enough." The people of the house differed and they disagreed to the matter. Some said, "Get closer, the Prophet, peace be upon him, is going to write a book that you shall never go astray after." Some of them said what Umar said, and after they started talking a lot of nonsense and the disagreement occurred in front of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told them to leave. Ubaidullah said that Ibn Abbas was saying that the disaster, the biggest disaster, is what happened between the Prophet, peace be upon him, and between writing that book for them from the disagreements and rudeness. Now, the nation agreed that the Prophet, peace be upon him, number one, wanted to write a will. Number two, and the description of the book or the testament that he was going to write is guaranteed from misguidance. 3. The people disagreed and argued in front of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And 4. The Prophet took them out of his house. And the disagreement of the nation, number 1, was the will written or not. There is no accurate narration that states that the will was not narrated. We say with its writing, and it was written in the books. Number 2, or was it written but was not reached to us? With the agreement of the believers that the disaster was on Thursday, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, died on Monday midday. If the person is religious and has a book that is guaranteed for the nation from misguidance, and a person such as Omar tried to stop him, then had an opportunity that he has 3 days to fill out the book, will he leave it? He will not leave it. So how will the master of the pious, the Prophet, peace be upon him, do that? And how can he be accused of not writing the will? And if he did write it, is it not to be reached to us in the divine gentleness is the fact that the Prophet, peace be upon him, does not talk nonsense. He says only what God commands him to say, and said that the book is guaranteed from misguidance. Then the conclusion is what passed. 1. The will was written. 2. It is guaranteed from misguidance. And 3. It was reached to us from the books. Now, if we searched all the books of the believers of all the different groups, we will find out only one will of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when death approached him. The will where he mentioned the successors after him, the 12 Imams and the 12 Mahdis, in the book of Al-Ghaiba for the Sheikh Dusi, page 150, and also in other books. And here it is. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family said to Ali ibn Abi Talib during the night of his death, O father of Al-Hasan, bring me a leaf and paper. And he dictated his will until he came to a position where he said, O Ali, there will be 12 Imams, and after them there will be 12 Mahdis. You, O Ali, are the first of the 12 Imams. God has named you in his heavens Ali al-Murtaza, the Prince of the Believers, Grand Truthful, the Bright Farouk, Judge and differentiating between true and false, the Trusted, and the Mahdi, rightly guided. These names may not be truly attributed to other than you, O Ali. You are my guardian on my own family, their living and their dead. My women, whom you maintain, shall find me tomorrow, and whom you reject, I am acquitted of her. I will not see her, and she will not see me on the day of resurrection, and you are the successor, Khalifa, on my nation after me. If the day of death comes to you, hand it over to my son Hassan, the very beneficial. Then, if the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to my son Al-Hussein, the martyr, the pure, and the assassinated. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, the master of the servants and worshippers, Ali. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Muhammad al-Baqir. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Ja'far al-Sadiq, the honest. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Musa al-Kadhim, the patient. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Ali al-Reza. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Muhammad al-Taqi, the trustworthy. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Ali al-Nasir, the advisor. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Al-Hasan al-Fadil. If the day of death comes to him, let him hand it over to his son, Muhammad, the mandate of the Holy Family of Muhammad. Peace be upon them all. These are the 12 Imams. Then there will be 12 Mahdis after them. Then, when Allah receiveth him, let him hand it over to his son, the first of the close ones. He has 3 names, one like mine and my father's, Abdullah, servant of God, Ahmad, and the third name is the Mahdi, the guided, and he is the first believer. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad ala Imam wal Mahdiyin wa sallim tasliman kaseera. Bi iman Allah.